Detroit, welcome to the D, baby.
313 Detroit's love to Motor City. Detroit's love, can't nothing stop me. Detroit's love, I love my city. Detroit's love.
To an episode Middle Ground with JLE L.L.C. We treat you like family. We got another great guest for you today. We have international speaker, brand marketing expert, executive coach at Fair Consulting Group LLC, Gene Baker. Welcome to the show.
Jeff, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be on.
Appreciate it. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so for the last 20 plus years, I've worked in the pharmaceutical industry. Most of that time in leadership positions across the Midwest, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, in sales leadership positions. I've had sales training positions. I do a lot of leadership development for the company I work for, as well as in my consulting work. I do leadership development through materials I've gained from the John Maxwell team, as well as leadership certifications that I use to help leaders really find their path and find their energy and find the behaviors that are right for them in the organizations that they're trying to move up in. So I do a lot with that. And then I also work with two speaker platforms. One is the Leadership Experience Tour, and the other one was recently launched. That's the Global Speakers Platform based out of England. And the purpose of that is to really help people expand their platforms, giving them a speaking stage, as well as all the promos and marketing materials to get them into publications, et cetera. So I'm a coach on those platforms and helping speakers kind of craft their message.
Okay. So what led you to this path?
Well, so like I said, my daytime job is pharmaceuticals. But since 2004, about every year and a half, I've kind of been through a downsizing layoff. And I've made it through most of them, been laid off a couple times, but the frequency of it, it just kind of gets to you. So about 5 years or so ago, I said, you know what, I need to start acting on really, putting a plan in place to be my retirement, to be a second source of income or my primary source of income. So I invested out of my retirement savings and picked up, certifications and really started down the path to prepare myself to do this full time, because that's where my passion is. Like I said, I've been a leader for over 20 years. So just my experience in itself lends me a lot of credibility and a lot of experience and a lot of passion, just based off of seeing people through so many different situations and helping them be successful.
Mm-hmm.
And then the speaker thing, it really kind of came up, kind of happenstance. I was working with another consulting firm, helping organizations, save money and find money.
Okay.
Through that, I found Sean Fair, who was just in the middle of launching the Leadership Experience Tour. So I kind of got in on the ground floor of that as one of his coaches and key people.
Okay. So what is Fair Consulting Group LLC?
Yeah, so that is, CEO is Sean Fair. Sean he's the front person. He is an international speaker, very well known, does a lot of leadership training. The aspect of the Fair Consulting Group that I was involved with is the Leadership Experience Tour, which is the #1 speaker platform out there.
Awesome.
So that's really the essence of that is really to give entrepreneurs, authors, business, people, a platform to expand upon and get on a real stage with live audience, with a virtual audience that's on virtual TV, digital TV, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I seen you done something recently. I saw on Facebook. Nice crowd.
Yeah. You get the the live crowd, which was interesting. During the COVID times, we weren't able to have a packed audience, but what that also allowed us to do was expand our our digital TV reach. So now you're in countless countries and in
Yeah.
TVs across the world. So yeah,
That's
so it's a
sad to
much
see.
bigger
That's kind of maybe better because
yeah.
you're all around the globe now compared to we're going to be at Fox Theater speaking, for example, only 3,000 people. Now you can reach the whole world at once.
You've reached the whole world potentially, and literally, we have speakers from England, Nigeria, Canada, some of
Awesome.
the islands, all across the country, from Washington to California to Texas to Louisiana to Michigan to Ohio, you name it. So speakers are coming in from all over the place to be on the platform.
Awesome. So, what do you like about speaking?
You know what I like about speaking is just the energy and the opportunity to reach people. And
Mm-hmm.
and that I feed off of that. And speaking is not just about what you know. And matter of fact, it's very little about what you know. It's the experience that you're putting people through. That's what they remember. So, maybe 10%, 10 to 15% of what you say is going to land, but the rest
Mm-hmm.
is your vocalics and your body language and the stories that you tell to communicate with your audience and reach them. So that's the art of public speaking, and I remember, initially getting into it. You go in there with, hey, I got all this knowledge. I want to impart this knowledge and show, how smart I am, and that's the last
Yeah.
thing you want to sit and listen to someone who thinks that they're so smart,
Yeah.
So you might have one or two, maybe 3 points that you're going to communicate, but you're going to communicate that through stories and authenticity and just being yourself, and
Yeah.
finding what's important for your audience. If you're asking yourself, did I do a good job? You probably already missed the boat. What you should be asking is, did I reach somebody? Did they get something out of this? Did they come up and say, man, you changed something, for me. I really grabbed onto that point. I'm gonna implement that idea that you presented. Then you say, okay, yeah, I did a good job.
Yeah, I know I had a speech class early on at Wayne State, and everybody was terrified. Like, we got to get up and speak about ourselves for like 5 minutes. Like, what? Now, it didn't hurt that at the time I was working at a job that I really didn't like. So I'm like, this is going to be my little soapbox to vent. So I might make y'all laugh. And the teacher, like, this really happened. They're like, you see, I got the uniform on. Yeah, this really happened. I'm going to get a drink when I leave.
Right.
So you help us out right now to calm down. And he really kept explaining that you got to be that comfortable up there, and the crowd might feel that same energy and gravitate with you instead of just
That's it.
deer in the
If you're sitting up
headlights.
there nervous, it's not good for you. Certainly, it ain't good for the audience either. If you're gonna be on stage, you might as well have fun with it. Matter of fact, recently I was on stage at a tour event, and I don't know what it was. I was tired, whatever, but I literally lost my train of thought 3 times on stage.
Oh no!
Now you wouldn't have known it.
Okay.
But in my mind, I was like, "Oh my god, is this really happening? What is happening here?"
Oh no!
But you got to roll with it, man. You just got to roll with it. You got to be comfortable in material that you have, and you got to roll. You can't let everybody see the turmoil that's inside. And then once you start rolling with it, you just start to say, "Oh yeah, okay, boom," or you take a pause and allow that thought. But that pause to you seems like 2 minutes, but it might only be a 3-second.
Bro, first time I ever did it in class, it felt like eternity. Like,
yeah,
I didn't know how to talk about myself. I don't do that. Like, you better say something, Jeff, to get a grade. Like, oh man, this dude tripping.
Right.
And we really learned that you gotta get comfortable. Because I laughed at myself like, hey man, I just got off work. What you want from me?
Right.
Now, if someone wants to get into speaking, what do they need to do?
You can reach out to me. I do have a speaker development program that I'm actually launching with the Global Speaker Platform.
Okay.
And you can go through my program, or I can also direct you to the Global Speaker Platform or the Leadership Experience Tour. So depending on the needs of the speaker. So that's the kind of the entry point is to figure out, are you already a professional speaker and you're just looking for a quality stage with professional shots and get into publications and that kind of thing, or do you really are starting out and you really do need a more lengthy speaker development program? And if that's the case, I can help with that as well. So if you want to get into speaking and you want to be connected to me, that's the easiest way. If not, there are multiple platforms out there. I went through the John Maxwell training program, was certified through John Maxwell. That's a great resource. They did a wonderful job of training you how to be a public speaker. And there's others. Some are more expensive than others, but you're going to have to invest, and you're going to have to spend some time on really developing your craft. You can't just get up on stage and think it's going to happen. To be a professional speaker where people pay you 15, 20, 25,000, you got to put the hours in. So for every minute that you're going to be speaking, you're probably going to put in 2 hours of developing that minute of content.
Yeah, John, he had spoken in one of my business classes a few years ago and gave us an hour and a half of what he would teach executive 500, Fortune 500 executives. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're getting paid stupid money to teach
stupid money
to CEOs? Like, yeah,
yes.
Like only in America. It was great stuff he was teaching. But I'm like,
yeah,
they paying you a lot of money for this. Like, I didn't think they need a life coach. Huh.
Man, there are speakers out there that are getting paid, 20, 25 or more.
Wow.
To come speak. It's the money's there, but there's a lot of speakers out there too competing for different gigs. So you really have to have footage. You have to have quality footage that and you have to have a bio that's well written. You have to be out there in publication. So if people look you up, they'll see different publications that you're in, and that adds to that credibility that you have. So if you're going to speak in a corporation, that's one of the first things they're going to do is say, well, who is this person? And if they look you up and you got sheets of articles written about you, that's going to help a lot. It's going to put you above someone that's just starting out. Okay. So that's the benefit of getting on platforms like the Leadership Experience Tour or the Global Speaker Platform, is they not only work with you on crafting your message, but then when you get on stage, it's a real stage with a live audience with 4K cameras, 4 or 5, 6 cameras taking pictures. Yeah, like real footage, that you can then take and use that for promos and all kinds of stuff to elevate your platform. So there's a process, to this thing. It's not an overnight thing, but if you follow the process, you can definitely become a professional paid speaker. Now, it's not for everyone, and sometimes you do run into people that say, you know what, I'll never crush your dream, but you got a lot of work to do. And if they want to put in the work, we'll see what happens. But others, have more of a gift for it.
Okay. Now, is there a different technique from an author speaking or a regular speaker?
A different technique? No, outside of being your authentic self. So, like, I would never try to get on stage and be, Jeffrey Everett, and you should never get on stage and try to be me, and so that's where it starts, is who is your authentic voice and where is that coming from? What experience do you have? What expertise do you have that makes you your authentic self, that people would want to listen to your story or what you're conveying? So that's the only difference. Now, outside of that, there's a technique to telling stories. There's a technique for developing your points. There's a technique for how to elevate or move your tone around and the rate of your speech around. So if you're a monotone throughout your entire time, guess what's going to happen? You're going to lose everybody. Or if you're way up here, and you're starting out yelling on stage, guess what's going to happen? You're going to lose everybody.
Yeah, you too up.
Or if you got a really quiet voice and you're just talking like this, and you're going to lose people. Now, if you use all of those things in your presentation, all of a sudden now people are with you. You're capturing their attention. Sometimes you might talk really fast if you're making a point, and then you slow down. You say, and just to emphasize your point. So you're taking on that journey with you, and you're using all of your vocabulary, using all your facial expressions, your hand, your body movement, to help make this an experience that they'll remember.
Now, it's interesting you say that, because in that speech class, the professor taught you shouldn't be moving, that distract from what you're trying to talk about. But
That's very
as
true.
you go on, it's better to be a little more animate.
So here's the trick. What you don't want to do is be walking all over the stage.
Okay.
And that's very distracting for an audience, and it's very distracting for a camera too.
Okay.
But you want that camera to be able to zoom in and be like right here.
Okay.
So you can be very impactful and plant your feet, but move your upper body.
Okay.
So you might move your upper body and you're speaking to this side of the audience. Then you come over here and you're speaking to that side of the audience. You might speak to the middle of the audience. So those are your 3 positions. You use your hands a little bit, not too much, but enough, and that's a good movement. Now, you more relaxed professional speakers, they might move a little bit, walk to this side of the stage, and then they'll plant and they'll speak to that side of the audience, and then they'll walk over to the other side of the stage and they'll plant and they'll speak to that audience. But you're not doing this. You hit a spot, you plant, you speak for a while, communicate with that side of the audience, connect with them, boom. Hit the other spot, plant, speak, connect, but you don't want to be doing that.
Yeah, that don't sound good. Now, what is the difference in a brand marketing expert and marketing?
Well, when you start talking about a brand, it really comes down to what is it that you want people to identify with? What service, what, if I think of Jeffrey Edwards, what does he stand for? What is his brand? What's the image? What's the product? What's the category? What's the target audience? Your brand really should be designed to reach a certain segment of the population and be very recognizable, versus marketing to the masses. If you got a product like, I don't know, Cheerios, there's a whole lot of people that eat Cheerios.
True.
From little kids to grown adults. You know what I'm about to say. So that's different from a general marketing standpoint. If you want to brand yourself, then you have where I can work with executives and emerging leaders and help them become better leaders, find their path, find their way, and become just more effective. So do I reach out to certain segments, of like, who is that? Is that someone I can reach out to someone who's already a VP level and they want to be like CEO? Or is that a director level and they want to be VP? Or is that someone who's like just like a first line leader, middle manager that's looking to move up? Those are 3 different audiences.
True. That is true.
So do I go after, each one of those or one of those? Or do I say, you know what? I'm real good in coaching speakers and I got connections to multiple speaker platforms. Maybe I just go after speakers, even though I could do all these other things. If you really want to brand yourself and have a recognizable brand, you got to be narrow in your focus and own that lane. The more narrow you are and the more you own that lane, the more successful you'll ultimately be. So that's really hard for a lot of us, including myself, because I'm like, well, shoot, I can do all this. A lot of us do all this. You know, you might be able to play a whole lot of instruments, but what's your best instrument? You know,
That's a great point.
and so that's what that's the whole branding aspect of when you're working with someone. It's like, okay, who is it that you really want to be, and who really is your target, and the more specific you can get in describing your target audience, like describe them down to what's their name, what do they do, what do they like, what do they dislike, what are their interests, what are they disinterested in. The more you know about your target audience, the more you can craft your branding message and then be able to write copy, like when you're sending out ads, or when you're writing things, it's going to speak to what's important to your target audience.
Oh wow, that's some Yoda knowledge right there, man.
Yeah.
Okay, I see the difference now. So when you do workshops for executive coaches, if an entrepreneur reached out to you, what benefit will it give them to make them better?
So it depends. So if an entrepreneur reaches out, our initial conversation is, well, what are you looking to do?
Okay.
Are you looking to, maybe it's an entrepreneur that's never had managed a team before. So they're concerned about growing a business and not being an effective leader.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the case, then we identify that and we say, okay, well, let's develop some very specific leadership type of capability and skills. Maybe it's someone that has been in a corporation, is now branching out into entrepreneurship, but is not sure where they get their energy from. Where are their blind spots that maybe they need to shore up with other people or other resources, so they don't spend a whole lot of time on things that just aren't their energy spot, and where they're just going to be ultimately unhappy. So that's really critical too, because sometimes people jump into things and they fail because they end up spending a lot of time in things that they're not all that good at, or they just don't like doing, and then so they get miserable.
Yeah, good point.
So if that going in, if I can help you identify where those energy spots are, where you really like, where's your passion, what you really like to do, and what you really don't like to do, now we can start to put a strategy in place and say, okay, how can we get you doing the things where your strengths and your passion lie, and see how can we shore up these blind spots or these areas that you don't want to be spending a whole lot of time in. Are there resources? Are there people? There's a lot of different things that you can do to shore up some of those other areas that you don't like to spend time in. Now sometimes that's the admin thing. Sometimes that's more the strategy thing. Sometimes that's the leadership thing. You might be an entrepreneur, but you just, what, I don't like to lead people. I just want to own this business. Well, okay. Well, if you stuck leading people and doing the day-to-day leadership stuff and you're terrible at it, well, that's going to affect your business.
Yeah.
So an entrepreneur, it starts with, okay, well, what are we trying to do here? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to do with this? What are you building? And then go from there as to what are they trying to do? Where would they like to be? And where would they like not to be? And how long do they want that process to take?
Okay. Have you had any challenges along the way in this journey?
Oh yeah, I'm still early in my journey. I've spent a lot. My challenge is I spent a lot of money investing in my
I hear that.
in my business. I spent a lot of money. And so that's a challenge. It's like, okay, you just have to continue to have confidence in your vision and your passion. And the challenge, goes back to, I'm still in corporate world. I still got it. I still have 110% commitment to my day job. That's not an easy job, and so I have to take care of numero uno first. That pays.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Doing the 8-hour shift first, then Work on
Yeah.
the company after.
And so, that's the challenge is, if I were to jump in, 100% building my consulting, in many aspects that might be easier and I would get more traction because I'm fully focused on driving this business. That's the challenge.
Okay.
But I got a lot of bills.
Oh yeah.
So you can't just. It's easier said than done. Although I know I've hired a couple business coaches,
Okay.
to coach me. So even the coach needs a coach. That's another nugget for you.
Hey, you dropped him, man. I'm appreciating this.
If you working with a coach that doesn't have a coach, probably an issue there because none of us have all the answers. So I'm working with some guys that have done it, that have built a consulting business from 10, 15 a month to over 200 a month. So
Nice.
I'm like, okay, what are you guys doing, and what are your systems that you have in place? Because as you grow your business, it's all about the systems. What can be scaled, and scaled in a way that is working for you, even while you're not actually putting in the work. So the systems make all the difference. So that's what I'm putting into place now. So that's been a challenge of mine. I've been doing a lot of stuff. I've been really kind of building my brand and getting out there and being recognized and building a skill set, even in diversity, equity, inclusion. That's another skill set I've been building, and getting out there and doing trainings on that. I just got back from New Jersey doing that. And so you can build these skill sets, but if you don't have a system in place that can scale it and hit the target audience that you're trying to hit, all you're doing is you're spinning wheels. You're spending a lot of money. You can put a whole lot of posts out there on social media, and you can get a whole lot of views. But if there's no action, if you're not funneling people down into buying or becoming more engaged in your content, what are you doing? So you got 3,000 views on your post. So are they paying you? At the end of the day, are they paying you? Are they buying product or service from you?
You're
And
right.
if they're not, what are you really doing?
You're right.
You
got to make a profit.
You got to make a profit. So I got caught up in the whole branding and building my profile out there. So now, yeah, I got a whole lot of people that view my stuff and maybe comment, but so the next aspect is, okay, let's engage and let's give them more content and really engage my target audience even more so. Really zero down into that target audience and then start to offer that target audience the service that I know that they need and want.
Okay. Definitely find your target audience.
Yeah.
That's key. Okay. Last question. What advice do you have for someone trying to find their purpose?
Someone that's trying to find your purpose. It doesn't come overnight, but you have to put the thought into it and give yourself time to reflect. So that reflection really starts with understanding where are you in your life. Where are you today? What's brought you to this point? Are you happy? Why are you happy? Are you not happy? Why are you not happy? What do you enjoy doing? What are you really good at? Do you really like doing that? Or is that just you like doing it because you get paid doing it? Where do you find your energy? Where's your passion? What if people commented, when they say, Gene, you're a great coach. You're a great leader. If nobody was saying that to me and I thought that I was a great coach or a leader, that might be a problem. Maybe I would be, but if no one said that to you, if no one's gave you affirmation along the way,
that's true.
So it's you pick up cues, but this is the conversation that you need an honest conversation that you need to have with yourself as you're reflecting, as you're really examining where you are in your life. And then, from there, it's trusting the process. Actually recently, even in my day job, as much as I'd like to eventually get out of corporate world,
Mm-hmm.
I've been climbing a ladder. I've, had various positions, and do I want to continue down that path, or say, you know what? Why am I fighting this thing? Like, what do I do? Where's my passion? My passion is developing people. So why don't I get into the Global People Learning Development Institute that trains people and teaches people and develops leaders across the organization? Well, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So even if I left the organization, I've picked up all that experience, and it's in an area that I have passion for. So it comes down to, where do you get your passion for, and spend as much time as you can spend in that area, because you not only will develop a skill set, an expertise in that area, but you also will be authentic to yourself. And at the end of the day, it's that authenticity, is that passion that people will pick up on as they come to work with you and for you potentially. So, if you're doing something that you just picked up some knowledge, well, I can find knowledge on Google.
True.
You have Google leadership. You'd be a whole year looking at leadership stuff, and if not more. It ain't the knowledge. Anyone can Google leadership topics. How you deliver that and how you connect with people is all the difference. So whatever service, whatever you do, it comes from a place of authenticity, and you have to understand it in yourself first before you can ever try to convince someone of the space that you're in and how you can be of value to them. And that's the last point is, don't go into something thinking, well, I'm going to make a lot of money in this, because people will see right through that real quick. If you just trying to make a buck off me. There's so many people out there that got crappy programs and this and that, whatever. It's trying to make a buck. So it's, why are you doing what you're doing? Do you want, John Maxwell will say this, be of value to people. Numero uno, be of value to people and exceed expectations. If you're doing that in something that you're passionate about, the rest will follow.
Man, that's some great advice, because I found myself a time like, okay, we done over 100 episodes. It's growing. We eventually will become profitable, but okay, what's next with the process? And you saying trust process, like, let's keep working on it.
Are you networking? I'm learning, man. I met CEO Exposure TV. Tam Lawrence. You need to connect with Tam Lawrence.
Like that done.
A lot of people are getting on Exposure TV, especially people of color. She's really helping entrepreneurs and people that are looking to be in that space, to have a digital TV show. It's quality. The other one, On Stage Plus. Dave, what's Dave's last name? Forgot Dave's last. You and I can connect on that. But On Stage Plus, that's where my TV show is on.
Okay.
Gene's Tune Up Time. So it's a show all about leadership. That's on Stage Plus. So wow. That's on Roku, that's on Apple, that, On Stage Plus you can get on multiple digital TV channel spots. So there's people out there, and it's doing what we're doing now. We're talking and starting to network. And so I just gave you a couple names, and we'll follow up on those. But you need to talk.
Yeah, thanks. I'm definitely gonna check out them, man.
And all of a sudden you get on those platforms, and all of a sudden your reach, expands, and the quality of the production, expands, and what you can do with it expands, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. How'd you enjoy being on the show?
I enjoyed it, man. I always enjoy meeting new people and talking about, the things that I do and how I can help, and hopefully it reached somebody. And the only thing I wish I knew more of is what you do and what you get into, and what makes you tick, and what's your background. But as we move forward, man, I'd love to set some time and really start to see how we can help each other.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. Short version, musician, author, owner of a podcast. Working to turn this into a network where I have other people.
Yeah. Musician, what do you play?
Piano.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. About to work on my second album. Almost done mixing that one. The
Oh, you're
first
doing
album's
it.
called The
Okay.
JLE Experience. It's already out.
What's it called?
The JLE Experience.
The jailed?
The JLE Experience.
Oh, JLE Experience. Oh,
Yeah.
Jeffrey L. Edwards. The JLE
There you
Experience.
go. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
check it
awesome,
out.
man. I used to think I was going to be a musician professionally. Actually, I went to a conservatory of music for college. I play a lot of instruments, but I got into the conservatory on the oboe.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you ever met a black oboe player?
No, that sounds interesting. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, man. I was classically trained, but I
Nice.
I played most of the horn line, played the piano, but the oboe was the last instrument that I picked up, and I only played 3 years before I got into the conservatory. But but the oboe is one of those instruments that's really hard, and there's not as many. So, you might go to an audition for a music school, and you might have 800, 1,000 or so, if that oboist audition for it, versus you might have, thousands of piano players that you're competing against. So it's a narrower group, because you have more of a chance of
Man, hey, you guys do conservatory. You want some Jordan stuff, bro. I was just in the Wayne State little music department, and the choir I was in, we were like the Bad News Bears. We ain't about their life. Now they had the symphonic chorus. That was 18. They come in. It's like my man put a finger up, stab paper out. They ready to go. He point. They start singing. I'm like, oh, so that's what that professional look like. Teacher tell us, oh, y'all stop talking. Let's get ready. Like, who are those people?
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's 18. Like, okay. I see why.
Yeah.
Y'all about their life. Probably to get in the studio with you, man. See what
man. Nah. No, let me say, I'm terrible right now. I'm terrible.
No.
Man, I was so embarrassed. I was helping this bell choir group, play some bells, and one of the guys who has his own church, he's the the minister of music, whatever, in Flint, and so he had this oboe. That was an old oboe, and he'd been asking me for like a year and a half or so. Man, you need to come. I just wanted you to see if it'll play, if it's worth anything, if it plays. And I'm like, man, I haven't played. I don't know, 30 some years, man. He's like, no, man, I know you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Just come. So I had no reeds. As a musician growing up, you have to make your own reeds. Like, I've never buy an oboe reed. Nah, come on, you make your own. So here I go to a store and had to buy a reed, which is like a no-no. But I did. I brought it over there, got it ready. And I'm trying to play this thing, and it sounded awful. I was so embarrassed. I'm like,
no.
I was like, really? I was pretty good back in the day, man. But it's gonna take a while for me to get back in the flow. But
you ain't the only one. My family, Alexandra Rosa Arena, she said she played oboe too in the conservatory.
Is that right?
Yes. I never heard nobody play these things. Like, what is it? I'm gonna look it up. Like, what does it look like?
Man, the oboe it's got its own unique sound. Peter? No, you might not. Peter and the Wolf. That's a famous. Porgy and Bess is a big famous oboe solo in there. It's got a really unique. It's a beautiful sound. That's what I fell in love with. But it's a really hard instrument to sound good in, and it's a double reed. So you got to have a really strong embouchure. So if people don't think of the lips as muscles, but if you're not working that muscle, you ain't gonna be able to play a double reed like that. And that's what happened when I hadn't played in years. It was awful. So anyway, yeah. So good stuff, man. I look forward to connecting some more and and seeing how we can help.
I want to thank international speaker Gene Baker for sharing his journey and his advice. Hope you and your son have a great time out for his birthday.
Yeah, we going down your
Stay
way.
hydrated.
We going
Stay
to
hydrated.
the casino.
Oh yeah, stay hydrated. They got good food.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, man. You have a good night.
All right, you too. Take care.
All right.